let's take a look at what the Odyssey G9 brings to the table. First of all, the curvature radius is 1000 R, which means it's tighter, it feels good. You can see everything all around. That panning space is really nice. Now, this monitor comes with a 1 millisecond response time. Now, this is also a 240 hertz monitor, not 120. This is 240 hertz. I mean, that is ridiculous. Double the amount from last year. Also supports AMD FreeSync 2 and G-Sync at the same time. So it doesn't matter what gaming graphics card you have, you can switch, it doesn't matter. This monitor will support it. Now, of course, this also is a HDR 1000 monitor, so you've got 1000 nits brightness in there, and it looks really nice. In terms of design, the back panel look, all white with that blue lighting, it looks slick. I mean, gaming on this thing will be ridiculous. Like I said, the CRG9 itself is really solid, but when you look at them side by side, the Odyssey G9 really packs more punch this year because all the things I stated. The fact now you're going to 240 hertz, the fact that you have 1 millisecond response time, the fact that you don't have to pick a graphics card and it doesn't matter, you can pick whatever you want, and this will power all the way through. Oof, and it looks so good. The Odyssey G9 is really the gaming monitor to get in 2020. Can't wait to check it out.
120 hertz and 60 hertz are the only things available in the drop-down. Turns out you're gonna have to do a little menu magic. Refresh rate, 120, boom, 240, and assuming your graphics card supports it properly, there it is, 5120 by 1440, 244 hertz. I had a moment there where I thought maybe it was too good to be true, but it's not. And making matters more interesting, yes, you have to go from 10-bit down to 8-bit, but we're still able to use RGB as the output color format. What that means is we shouldn't see any kind of chroma subsampling that's gonna hurt the readability of text. And in fact, we don't. Now, there have been high refresh rate displays with this resolution up to 144 hertz already, but to reach that maximum refresh rate, you ended up with this kind of this fringing on text, which maybe isn't a big deal for most games, but a lot of games actually do have a fair bit of text. Of course, one of my favorite quick and dirty evaluations is just dragging around a window filled with text and seeing how readable it is. Right off the hop, I don't know if oh wow, vertical is really good. Horizontally though, I'm definitely getting a little bit more smearing. Oh, I definitely want to change to, wow. Oh, I don't know who's gonna put this in high brightness mode, but that is not look-atable, for me anyway. Wow, the G7 spoiled me. I was expecting RGB on the front too. Wow, actually they did a way better job of the RGB on the back. That has like 2 more layers of acrylic that it kind of shines through. That is really sweet. You'll never see it. It's on the back of your monitor that presumably you're gonna spend most of your time looking at the front of, but like, you know, you'll know it's there. Wow. At my normal, comfortable DPI setting, I have to move my mouse over a foot to get it all the way across the display. Now the question becomes, will there be any games that we can drive at what is effectively half of 5K resolution at 240 frames per second? CSGO seems like a reasonable candidate, but guys, that is a lot of Hello, Mr. Terrorist, standing in a black void over there. Let's do hard bots today. Oh boy, I need so much mouse. I think a wireless mouse would be basically essential if you were gaming on something like this every day. No, I got killed by a bot. I wouldn't say that it helps significantly in like a competitive sense, but it definitely increases the immersiveness. A lot of games will actually shrink your vertical view rather than increase your horizontal view when you have a super widescreen monitor, and the more widescreen your monitor is, the more pronounced that effect is. Another thing you'll probably notice is that depending on how well the game supports widescreen, you'll see a different degree of stretching in your peripheral vision. We might be able to help with that a little bit by changing the FOV in the game. We're not even managing to sustain 240 FPS all the time. This is even in CSGO, which is not exactly a demanding game. Like I'm sitting, actually, okay, I'm sitting at 260 right now. With a Core i9, like 10900K, like the very fastest gaming CPU, it's possible I wouldn't see these dips. I'm running a Threadripper right now. It's great CPU, just not entirely gaming focused. Just like the G7, I'm really impressed with Samsung's restraint when it comes to the color settings. Instead of cranking up the vibrance of the colors, it's all actually accurate looking in its sRGB mode. What we haven't tried yet though is HDR, and that's where I'm expecting this one to really shine compared to not only its G7 cousin, which is only VESA Display HDR 600 certified instead of 1000, but also compared to competition, because like I said, this isn't the only half of 5K gaming monitor on the market. It's just the only one that is Display HDR 1000 certified. There's a slight flicker at 240 Hertz HDR. What I suspect is that if we disable adaptive sync, that will probably go away. Yep. Interesting. Oh, that's interesting. Of course, that makes sense. You can adjust the response time, the low input lag mode, and all that stuff when you aren't using adaptive sync. Did I mention HDR is a little weird on Windows? It's working. So we've got these super bright and yet kind of crazy. You've still got like detail left in it. Super bright areas of the image and no loss of detail in the shadows, just as you'd expect from an HDR gaming experience. One thing I do want to try, so I'm at 60 Hertz now because that was a diagnostic step that I took. Let's go ahead and pump it to 120, which should also be fine. Oh, we're good. Should I push to 240? Should be fine. Like, theoretically, it should be fine. Oh. Something that you're always gonna get on full array local dimming displays is halo effects around really sharp borders between bright and dark objects. Much harder to detect in game, so from a gaming standpoint, I really don't consider it to be an issue, unless you play a lot of games where you've got a white mouse cursor moving around on a really dark background, then I can find it distracting and I do tend to turn it off. Man, that's smooth. This is on an RTX 2080 Super as well. It goes to show you, with G-Sync, you really don't need all 240 FPS in a sightseeing exploration game like this one. That's more just for your competitive shooters.